any update on Taylor Walker? What's his chances for this week?
Yeah, it was good to see he's been out training. I think he's pushing his case, doing everything he can. I know he wants to play, but whether he'll get up or not, I'm not sure. It'll depend on kind of how he pulls up this week. But he's doing some drills with the group again, and certainly pushing his case. So I'll leave that one in the high performance and the coaches. But whether he gets up this or not this week will be depending on how he pulls up through the sessions. So he is coming along though.
Ray Crouch?
Yeah, same thing. Crouchy, I think Crouchy's not quite there yet, but yeah, it'll depend on what he gets through this week. I know he's been a bit sore at times, but the last couple of weeks he's been building up and he's training with the group as well. So both of those guys are pushing their case, but whether they've done enough or not to play round one will be up to the coaches.
How much did Crouchy get through on Saturday at the training session?
I don't know the exact percentage, but I know he was out there, which is a good sign. And yeah, he and Tex for the first time were doing a couple of drills and getting up and running and kicking and changing direction. You know, all the things you need to do to play. So both of them been out for a long time, but they're certainly getting there.
How tough is that call when they've had no pre-season matches at all and they've been injured to get up and play in the hurly-burly of round one?
Yeah, it is. It's probably easier for a guy like Tex, who's played a lot of footy over the years and you know, has played a lot of footy, and his body's probably a bit further along than Crouchy's. Crouchy's had a couple of injuries over the years, and you need to be a bit more cautious with someone like that. So it is tough to come from no pre-season to try and get straight back into round one, especially against Essendon, who play really quick footy at Etihad. There is pretty tough. So yeah, that'll be up to the coaches. They've got to weigh it up. I mean, you don't want to take too many underdone guys into round one, but yeah, there's a lot of guys pushing their names behind the scenes as well, so it'll be up to the coaches.
Do you guys find playing at Etihad that afterwards you're sort of a bit sore, like in the legs and the ankles, knees, that sort of thing?
Not so much. I think it's just more the pace of the game there. You know, under the roof, the ball zips around, and especially the teams that play there on a regular basis. You think of St Kilda, Essendon, and these kind of teams. They play with real speed, so a lot of the games are real high intensity. You know, lots of sprinting up and down, and the ball does move really quick. So you've got to factor that in, and you do pull up a bit sore, probably compared to an Adelaide Oval or a softer ground, but that's just indoor footy.
Tails, no Lever and no Brody as the leader of the back line. Who do you think comes in and replaces those two guys?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think Tommy Duday and Alex Keith are probably the two guys that have put their hands up over the pre-season, and both have been fantastic. You know, Tommy's done everything right, you know, trained the whole pre-season and played really well through the JLT, and same as Alex Keith, you know, he hurt his ankle the last game, but he's done everything right as well, and he played a lot of footy last year as well, so it's going to be a tough decision to see who take kind of Jake's spot, and then through that half back line, I think we're just going to have to fill that role with, you know, some midfielders and guys that play off a wing, come back there and roll through that spot. So I don't think there's any replacing either of those guys. You know, they're both terrific players who we're really going to miss, but you know, we feel like we've got the depth to cover it.
Your forward line sort of got a lot of success based on the speed of your ball movement last year. Brody's probably a bigger blow than people realise. How do you emulate the speed that he had?
Yeah, he is. You know, he's one of those guys that can break the line and, you know, run and kick with real precision, and you don't find players like that, you know, throughout the whole comp. So we're going to have to put, you know, probably a mid or a winger back there who can run and carry the ball. You know, some names that come to mind, you know, Dougie, you know, Paul Seedsman, Dave McKay, Wayne Malira can do it as well. So these guys that can run and really create that drive are going to be important for us, because we are going to need that, you know, that role filled, and it's really important to us.
What about your body? You obviously had that blowout. Feeling better after having that run in that final JLT?
Yeah, I am. It was pretty tough. You know, as I said before, talking about Tex, even missing a couple of weeks, you really do feel it, and rolled the ankle and missed a couple. But yeah, was able to get pretty much, you know, a whole game in against Port in that trial game, and pretty hot one to come back into. So yeah, I feel like I'm ready now. I've done, you know, pretty much the whole pre-season, and one game under the belt's enough. So looking forward to taking on some monster forwards this week. They got a few down there, in Danaher, Hooker, Stewart, you know, these guys, Bell Chambers as well. So I'm going to have the work cut out back there for us, and looking forward to it.
With that tall forward line, does that sort of come into thinking of maybe looking at Alex Keith over at Tom Duday to sort of take a third kick?
Yeah, I think there's arguments for both. You know, if you go taller, you do have that height. You know, as they play three tall forwards, you've probably got the height. But if you go for a smaller guy, or when I say smaller, Tom Duday, who's not quite as tall as Keithy, you get that rebound and that intercept marking, and he's able to do that. So there's pros and cons to both, and that'll be up to the coaches. It's going to be a really tough decision because in my mind, both guys have earned the right to play. It's just there's only one spot there. So.
Couple of injuries. Do you feel like you're ready to hit round one running though, the team, obviously?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of guys have either played one game or two now and are pretty much ready to go. And, the JLT is fun, but the real season's the real season and it steps up a gear. So we're well aware of that and really looking forward to taking on a quality side. Essendon have got a really good list now and, dangerous through the midfield forward and have got some quality backs as well. So we know we're going to have our work cut out and it's the start of a new year. We get no points for last year. It starts again, and we have to earn our right every week by week. So it starts this week, and we're looking forward to it.
Did Keithy train fully on Saturday after that rolled ankle that he had?
Yeah, I think Keithy was out there training. I'm not sure if he did the full session, but he was certainly out there, and he's right in the mix this week. He'll be. I think he'll be right to go. And as I said, he's earned his way. He's played pretty much every game this pre-season, so he hasn't missed much, and he'll be fine.
Tell us where do you think footy's going this year in terms of trends? Is it speed? I mean, Richmond obviously were high pressure, manic sort of stuff, and do you think it's all about speed this year again?
It's an interesting one. Every year, kind of other teams trying to emulate the premiership from the year before, but we'll stick to our game. We're pretty confident if we play the way we can play, we can beat most teams. But in saying that, we've got to go out there and do it. So. That's us. What the rest of the comp will do, it'll be interesting to see. As you said, Richmond last year with that get it forward, manic pressure. I know the Bulldogs the year before played this pretty much the same way. So at the end of the day, if you put pressure on the ball and work hard and win the contest, you usually win games of footy. And I think that's the way most sides try and play anyway. So we'll see the trends early on and I'll get back to you in a few weeks.
You had a lot of success with scores off turnover as well. So again, as a defensive unit, how much emphasis goes into that, especially turning it over sort of just forward to centre if you can? Yeah,
you're right. We're historically pretty good off turnovers and can go back through opposition sides. It's probably been, it's probably a bit down in the JLT. Probably didn't score as much as we usually would off the halfback or, turning the ball over. So that's a strength for us. But as I said, we've got to bring it. We've got to find guys who can do that. And every year's a new year, and teams defend better each year. So it's going to be a challenge, and we'll look forward to it.
Mate, what motivation does a beating grand finals from the year before taking to round one? Is it higher than normal?
No, I wouldn't say it's higher. Every round one, you've got a lot of motivation, and you want to start. And last year's gone. There's no point in looking at last year now. It gets you nothing. So we know that we played good footy last year, and we can take confidence from that. But we've got to start again. So. The motivation is in the grand final. The motivation is getting the 4 points and starting off the year well. So, at the same time though, it is going to be really good to play another game after that, a game for points and get over it. So, there's kind of two sides to it, and looking forward to both of them.
But you debriefed that at length, obviously, after when you came back to pre-season training. So that's gone, and now it's all fresh. Yeah,
that was gone within the first 2 weeks, and looking forward to the start of the season. So we'll watch other sides play early on, and then we have our crack. So just looking forward to the start of another year.
It's a tough start. You got like a really highly rated Bombers side Friday night, backing into the Premiers at home on Thursday. Is that exactly what you guys wanted to sort of build in, have that sort of hard start to see where you're at?
Yeah, I think every fixture is different, and it's great to start against two quality sides. You test where you're at straight away, and you can't warm up into it. You've got to be ready to go from the first bounce. So we know that being away, Essendon, they're tough to beat when we play them at home, let alone away. So it's going to be a big game. And then, as you said, a 6-day break into the Premiers of last year. It's going to be a good test. So we'll see where we're at after 2 weeks, and hopefully we're 2-0.
You talk about Essendon being tough, but the last 4 games you've averaged a 76-point win against them. Is this team maybe better than the previous couple of years, you reckon? Or?
Yeah, I think some of those results are, they've been blowouts at the end of the year, and they've had a lot of injuries at times. But if you look at their list, they're really talented. They've got good players all over the field, and when they play their best, they can beat anyone. So it's going to be a great game, and they play Etihad well. So we're aware of that, and we've got to bring our best to win. It's as simple as that.
Darcy, a chance?
Yeah, he is. As you were saying before, that was one of the guys that put his hand up, and he's part of that depth coming through now. And for a first-year guy to play the way he did against Port was pretty special. So if Tex doesn't get up, he's certainly in the mix. We've got guys that can play through that role, and he certainly put his hand up that last JLT. So exciting for the young kid to be in the mix round one as a first-round draft pick. It's it's a really good effort. It's pretty hard to do. So, we're looking forward to seeing what the coaches do, and if he plays, we'll certainly get around him.